Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I am 4x4. That is still Quacks. The series we are casting is still UST versus Purdue Northwest. Quacks, for about 5 minutes there, it looked really good. Doubtful was getting on the board, right?
Yep.
Winking, jumping back and forth on the Zeri. You saw maybe what the vision was with Poner on the Tarek. And then I just feel like Purdue wasn't even allowed to get back into the game. I don't really have too much that stuck out as like, oh, that's where Purdue Northwest lost the game. It was more, oh, well, I can look back at where Kenvy and company and UST started winning the game.
It really is hard to pinpoint. I honestly feel like, a lot of what it came down to, I think, was that PNW, they fought around the river. They fought to deny those marks away from Kenvy. And Kenvy got a free mark on the bot side, and then I feel like he just managed to somehow run away with the game or run away with some of the plays that he previously wasn't able to, in the previous first 5 minutes, and just take the game by the throat and run with it, right? I felt like Kenvy, we talked about it in the pregame for game number 1, how much UST liked to play around him, how much Robbie Bob in particular likes to play around him, hence why they locked into Galio. And as soon as Kenvy got some resources, as soon as he got one thing, they managed to just take that all the way, and it just felt like a steamroll from there on out.
And that's always the mark of a good team, right? From the lowest level to the highest level is how do you play the mid game? How do you take the individual mechanical outplays that you get? How do you take the little pockets of vision that you've capitalized on, right? How do you accelerate your win conditions and run from there? In UST, this is a team that has a lot of infrastructure, right? They are the back-to-back defending CLOL champions. Take a shot of water every time you hear us say that. Stay hydrated, kids. But these guys are here for a reason, right? And Porsche and Robbie Bob, they are the two remaining members of this team, getting Kenvy in from tier 1 and tier 2, right, of that fame, just giving this team another dimension, right? I mean, when I was casting Fisher yesterday, I hate to kind of throw it back to that all the time, but like a lot of these more experienced teams, you see so many different ways that they can kill you, right? And that it really feels like UST has that multi-headed, dragon approach.
And I mean, you look at the other side of the coin, PNW, they're I would say newer, or at least the players are newer to PNW itself. And they showed exactly what I think is exemplified in a newer program in CLOL, right? They had some good showings in the early game, but as soon as things weren't going their way, as soon as the tables kind of flipped and they were faced with adversity on the side of UST, they just couldn't get back into the game. And so I think that there is certainly some polish that needs to be done for PNW if they're looking to accelerate in this series, if they're looking to get a game back at all. We need to see them opt a little bit more into that raw mechanical talent that we know a lot of these players on PNW have, right? We've seen Wing King be a mechanical beast. We've seen Klexo be a mechanical beast on his pocket picks like Akali and some of those other assassins. We've seen Doubtful really put his foot in the mouths of some of the better junglers in CLOL. We saw it a little bit in game number 1. Talking about Doubtful, he had a really good showing in the early game on Xin Zhao, but as soon as Kenvy got leads elsewhere, as soon as he managed to get a gold lead back through not fighting, it felt like Doubtful was a little bit out of options for himself.
Yeah, I think I want to see something you mentioned, right? If I'm looking at, okay, what's going to be the next kind of big thing to change here for Purdue Northwest? That mid jungle, yes, but also, I mean, the mid lane especially, right? Klexo's got a wrench that he can throw into the system, right? Then you've got to execute that, because right now it feels like, again, in the mid game, they were just suffocated. They didn't have a way to get back into it. And I think, honestly, in theory, it could have been things like the Gragas casks, and if the ults from Poner would have been just a little bit earlier, right? Granted, there's not a knock on him. UST played a very suffocating mid game, so everything was done reactionarily, right? But if somehow, and I don't know, if I knew, I'd probably be employed as some sort of analyst. Actually, maybe not. That's a stretch. But how you put yourself in a position to where those abilities can be used advantageously, right? Not in a reactive manner.
For sure. And I mean, a reactive manner, it was best exemplified with Prank, right? He was constantly using his cask in a defensive manner instead of what we had initially hoped it would be used for, which was completely disrupting the Lamb's Respite, making it so that everyone was knocked out of that little circle and they didn't have the invincibility. Meanwhile, PNW themselves, they had the Cosmic Radiance glowing down on them and they would be invincible. So it would be kind of that advantage with the Gragas, but it was never utilized, right? It was always Prank having to defend against a dive or defend against, people descending onto him or just being able to save himself or a carry. It was always used defensively, and same goes for the Cosmic Radiance, right? It really felt like Poner wasn't able to get any of those big Cosmic Radiances off, those big ults off, to be able to make it so his team could accelerate at all in a fight, because we didn't really have any big team fights that felt even. We had probably no team fights that felt even. We had some skirmishes in the river, but when it came to team fights, UST showed exactly why they are one of the favorites going into the CLOL championship, because it was a complete stomp. It felt like there was no chance, even though we were saying, PNW have built up a lead. As soon as that team fight happened, as soon as they won that team fight and got that ace, I knew, man, PNW, I think, are potentially just completely out of it at that point.
Yeah, from about the 15-minute mark, it looked like a very one-sided affair. Yeah. We do have Game 2 draft coming up here, but it's going to be in a little bit, so we're actually going to take it to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have Game 2 draft, Game 2 right on the other side of that. The rest of this series between UST and Purdue Northwest will be just around the corner, so don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Welcome back, gang. I'm 4x4, that's Quacks, and this is Draft, not Art Attack. I'm sorry if you were expecting Art Attack. Real ones know Art Attack. And you can still be a real one and not know Art Attack. That's okay. USD on the blue side this time around. Banning out that Volley Bear again from Doubtful. That was one that we saw. And things like the Ash and things like at least 1 or 2 picks here from Kenvi, I expect to come out again. And the Olaf doesn't surprise me. But I think the big question, Quacks, at least on my mind, is do we see the Kindred 1, 2, 3?
There's no way we see the Kindred not banned from PNW. I mean, I feel like that was just such a catalyst for the success that UST had last game. I mean, you can point to things like Array's Aphelios, maybe that'll get banned away as well. I mean, he was super proficient on that, being able to win a lot of those 2v2s out. And he was certainly the secondary carry, right? I feel like even when Kenvi was a little bit behind in that early game, it was Array managing to get those kills, managing to accrue a CS lead that sort of allowed UST to fall back on that. And as the draft updates, as the bans update, we see the Kindred and the Jinx banned away by PNW, along with the Varus and Ash. So a lot of marksmen's taken off the table for Y4, and I would expect that to mean the priority on Skarner is going to be heavily raised because that was not banned, and UST are going to immediately pick that one up. So Skarner is going to be taken off the table, and now I would expect we're going to see those 80 carries banned away, those 80 carries picked away before they get further banned.
Yeah, I think the literal only kind of direct swap in the bans, if I'm remembering from last time, from game 1, was literally the Kindred for the Skarner. So I think that was like the only switch. Maybe the Jinx wasn't there, but the rest of these look very, very familiar. And the Senna will be locked in here. Now, something, a little bit of a wrinkle here, right? And we have seen, Senna be played by supports and, 80 carries taking tanks. I think that would be a bit of you'd be winking a disservice here. But Poner is, remember, a converted 80 carry. So he's got that in his bag should he want to do that. Now, Prank, will be on the Udyr. On the other side, hyperscaling City. Here we come. A one-way ticket there for UST. Aphelios, Azir, locked in for Array and Robbie Bob.
For sure. And now I feel like maybe it's open for something like a Tom Kench to come through. We could see Senna Tom Kench come out. I feel like Senna has a lot of niche combos specific only to her. But instead, we're actually going to see the Ornn taken away. So that is, in fact, not an Ornn going the way or an Udyr going the way of top lane for Prank. Instead, it is going to be a jungle Udyr, which I have not seen in a really long time. Unless we see something really fancy like Ornn support, that's how it's going to be, I think.
I was gonna say, I agree with you. That's where my brain went. You could, especially with the Senna, right? Throwing the Senna in the bottom lane really can just muck a lot of things up. It throws a cat in amongst the pigeons, to be sure. But I think it probably will be that jungle Udyr. Again, like Prank and Doubtful, I expect them to play very kind of stable, meta-y champions. But I think the mid lane might tell us as well from Klexo, the mid lane pick, what they want to do, because we can see, okay, potentially how does that pair up with Doubtful, right? And now another band coming in here, the Graves, is a champion that in 2020 Kenvi made his money on, metaphorically speaking. He was awesome, right? I mean, when I fell back in love with competitive League of Legends in 2020, it was I fell so in love that I forget the jungler. Showmaker's jungler on
Canyon. I'm a Canyon fanboy too. Yes. I love Canyon.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, he got me playing these sort of carry style junglers, which my friends all hate because I'm not that good at them. I'm much better at your tank and spank ones, but it's a lot more fun. There's the Diana, baby. All right, now this makes things very, very interesting. I think does throw Ornn into that bottom lane.
I do agree with you. I think that Ornn definitely, it's making Ornn support more and more likely, but one champion that's been notably absent from the draft and I feel like would be really good is that Nautilus. I feel like you pair that up with Aphelios or you pair that up with the Senna and it works in both directions, right? But meanwhile, we are actually going to see the Gwen locked in. So we are thinking things are top lane, but they're actually jungle, and I'm assuming that Kenvi might actually be on that Skarner, or it could be Trevor. Trevor is no stranger to pulling out these sort of more unorthodox picks.
Sure. Yeah, so I think the lock in, ladies and gentlemen. Buckle in here because we're going to get a bit of a switcheroo here. We're going to play 52 card pickup as soon as this draft is over and see where the champs all land. Now, here's the thing for Poner. I think you were going to pick the Yasuo here for Klexo, right? And this is something that I would not be, because this is a tried and true combo that Doubtful and Klexo have run, right? They were recruited as a duo. They do everything as a duo, in and out of game. These two are thick as thieves. I think it is going to be, if not the Yasuo, then the Irelia was another pick that we were put onto that he does have in his bag. So Irelia in the mid lane here. And Prank going to take that into the top lane. It will be Winking and Poner on that Senna Ornn support. And Camille will be the support pick answered back. What a freaking draft, Quacks.
I was really confused for a moment that it might have been like a Gwen jungle, Camille top lane, and Skarner support. Camille has, obviously, you go back a couple of months and Camille support is dominating the Rift, dominating solo queue with, I believe, Blood Song being the support item of choice. And now it's fallen off a little bit. It still has its uses, especially when you want to go aggressive, levels 1 through 3, I would say is where it really shines, taking that Ignite, being able to go for these really, really aggressive trades in the early levels. It is definitely Camille's specialty, and against a champion like Senna, who is very squishy, doesn't have any innate mobility, I think that this is actually a really wise choice. You want to target that early game in the bot lane. You want to make sure that Senna is set immediately behind and that they don't get any stacks in the meantime.
Yeah, and if you can not only kind of set that back, but then keep it down and accrue advantages of your own here. Okay, so it will be here to pull this back. Kenvi in the jungle on the Gwen. So they are giving him a carry. And
wow.
I love this, Quacks. This is quite the switcheroo here. You're going to get a wet noodle fight in the top lane, but in the jungle, the mighty jungle, Kenvi is going to ruin some lives tonight.
For sure. I am really interested to see how this goes, but yeah, Trevor playing around with the fog actually manages to get over the wall with the hook shot. Didn't get seen by Doubtful's Q or any wards. He is in here deep for Y4. He's not detected.
No, at least for now, because I think Frank might run into him here. Yeah, and Trevor started the hook shot. He said, all right, I had my fun. Porsche, homie, where are you?
Trevor was playing one of those COD missions where you're not allowed to be seen by the enemy.
Yeah.
And as soon as he gets spotted, he runs for the hills. Doesn't actually manage to get a ward down, though. Instead, it is going to be a defensive ward coming out from the side of PNW. But you look at the bot side of the map, and they actually managed to get a ward onto the Raptors
I was gonna say,
of Kenvi. So they will be able to track where this Gwen is going. As overall, solid vision from both teams on the early game, and definitely will throw potentially a wrench for both of these full clearing junglers, depending on the prio.
No, it's going to be very, very interesting. And it looks like it's going to be opposite clears to start. But like you said, that ward on the Raptors actually gets mopped away, wow. It looks like. So I think I confess I missed that. But I think it was Trevor that on his way down popped the sweeper and was able to do away with that. Cause I don't know how else they would have. Trevor going in immediately here with the hook shot. Gets the flash out of Winking. That's what you were pointing out there, Quacks.
Yup, immediate aggression coming out from Trevor. Winking forced to flash, and now the lane is really, really bad for PNW, I think. Until, I would say, Poner manages to get that E, manages to slam into the wall to potentially counter or interrupt the hook shot. It's going to be Winking and Poner just having to sit back and let the wave push to them. And all the while, you can see Kenvi is now on the bot side, did complete his top quadrant, so I wonder if we're going to see a potential dive, because Doubtful is on the top side. He's pathing away from his bot lane, which means he won't be here if a dive happens.
No, he's clearing the exact opposite way, and with the push that Prank has, if the wave can bounce back, maybe that's one thing. But again, I think that thinking about Diana's clear in that way might be a little misguided, because level 6 is such a massive power spike, right? She's that kind of jungler where it's a bit of a race to 6, right? You were a herbivore until that point, and then you sharpen your freaking canines because you want to eat at level 6.
For sure. And I mean, that's what we saw UST do last game, right? As soon as they got resources, as soon as they got on the map, that 15-minute mark dinged, and they were a completely different team. They were super duper aggressive. Hang
on a second here, Porsche. Yeah, Prank's got to be careful here that he doesn't pop anything beforehand. Take a tower shot. Porsche, he gets the damage down. That will be enough. First blood. Skarn. I love when he said Skarn and Skarn all over Prank.
I love the plays coming out from Porsche. He was driving him into the turret. It certainly didn't look like a Porsche driving, more like a crash dummy. But Kenvi on the other side, you can see, finishes his full clear, actually goes and pivots back up to get the top crab, and so denies that away from Doubtful. And with Trevor roaming around the map, is going to pick up a double crab. So this is a beautiful start for the powerhouse farming champion. As Trevor in the mid lane.
Trevor is all over the place, man. You forget how long of a range that hookshot can take you. The Ignite goes down here from Trevor as well. One more auto might do it. The flash from Klexo. Ignite ticking down. Gets the W up. The Vanguard's edge will not be enough, but it will trade a kill back. It's an execute. Just kidding. Robbie Bob read him like a piano, and he survives.
I think Robbie Bob's going to be beating himself up over that, as I believe he canceled 3 autos there to try and secure the kill onto Klexo, but he gets the kill nonetheless, and execute is all that awaits him. So no goal going over to PNW, and UST full steam ahead here in game number 2.
Man, oh man, and how about Trevor? Man, I think we really didn't talk about him all that much. Hang on a second here, 4x4. You're going to have to shut your mouth here for just a little bit. Gets the W from the turtle stance, and Porsche, he doesn't even have a heart steal yet. What are we doing?
Porsche is driving this train at max speed here. Prank underestimating the damage that this champion can do. I know he's supposed to be a tank, but he doesn't deal damage akin to a tank. It's a 2024 champion.
Yeah, and once that heart steal does come in, right, I mean, those autos are going to hit like an absolute truck. 3-0 for UST, and again, Quack, it's unfortunate because I feel like before Doubtful, he's still level 4. We're saying, oh, wait until PNW gets their jungler to level 6. Then it's going to really... Wait, what happened? The gold lead is at 1,000. Kenby in the wrong neck of the woods here, buddy. Separated from Robbie Bob. Getting a couple more autos down. If he can get the extra healing off of the snip stip. Not going to be the case. Doubtful with a much-needed kill there onto Kenby.
A little bit overzealous there from Kenby. The wave wasn't in a position where Klexo would have to stay under his turret, so that Aurelia was first to the zone and was able to just put that pressure onto Kenby, force him to run away. That was ghost burned as well, so not the biggest summoner spell in the world, but certainly does hamper Gwen's ability to potentially go into a fight or run away from a fight should the need arise. And a fight might be a brewing here in the top lane, as we have dinged 6 minutes and the Grubs have spawned.
Grubs on the Rift. That's what's on the menu here for Doubtful. Again, just ever so close to level 6. He's got himself the Dark Seal as well, so definitely feeling large and hoping to be in charge if he has it his way. Again, not level 6 here, but opting to take this fight here. Prank is level 6. That's not as big a spike as the Impale here from Porsche. He 100 to zeros. Doubtful, but not before. Whoa. He gets rid of Kenby. Just kidding. I got to hold my tongue there. Doubtful, I wasn't familiar with your game, brother. I apologize.
Doubtful actually does a lot more I do not think Kenby and Porsche were expecting the amount of damage to come out from Doubtful, and Porsche managed to hold him down for so long. Like you said, used the Impale, got him with the E, but he still manages to come up big. 2-0 start here for Doubtful. And yeah, that's exactly what you want to see for a champion like Diana, who wants that snowballing lead, because they also scale up pretty well in the late game. You know, 2 to 3 items, and Diana becomes really difficult for some of these immobile champions on UST to deal with, like the Gwen, like the Aphelios, who we see here has red and white and is ready to fight.
Don't get too close. This AD carry does bite. If he hits you too much, you might be in for a fright. Searing Charge going forward here, but Trevor goes right into onto Winking and gets the Ignite down onto him under the cover of darkness, able to get out a little bit more damage. Trevor is low. Array has the Moonlight Vigil. Should he want? Just kidding. Actually, he just blew that in with the Moonfall and the rush. Doubtful on a killing spree. He is trying to will PNW into this game. Klexo whips the Vanguard's edge. In he goes with the Shurima Shuffle. Robbie Bob trying to turn this fight for UST. Array, it's a 1v1 with him versus Klexo. Down to 0 HP. Array somehow pulls it out. Meanwhile, on the other side, Robbie Bob taken into the gray screen. Another kill for Doubtful. Winking on the board as well. Purdue Northwest punch back in a big way.
Big fight there from Purdue Northwest as a couple of turret shots. The horn is sounded.
Oh, the field goal is good, but you can't get a banner for that. Winking in a little bit of trouble here. It goes wide, and so do Winking's chances of getting a kill. A little overzealous, I think was the word you used last time around, Quacks. But, man, what a swing here for Purdue Northwest.
Sure, and what a swing for Doubtful as well. Now 4-0, 9 stacks on the Dark Seal, getting ever closer to, you know, being the powerhouse in those team fights. As Frank getting hit by a lot of damage there, but Porsche whiffs the Impale.
Yeah, not exactly what you like to see, but you know, but I mean, if I'm Frank, I'm counting my lucky stars here that I didn't get hit by that, because that might have been another 100 to 0 Skarn moment. Hang on a second here. Just kidding. All right, be able to crash that cannon wave in and leave Kenby in a very, very good spot here. Again, 0-3. Not as good as the position he was in game one. I think you've identified a clear win condition this time around for Purdue Northwest, and it's what you drafted for, right, in the early game. Doubtful had to be the bridge into the late game. You talked about winking, and if he gets shut down in lane, if he's not having a good time early, then UST has all the time in the world to snowball this lead, to snowball whatever lead they could get, and dunk it into the late game. But that's the difference for me here, Quacks, for Purdue Northwest, is that this time around, the gold lead is even. Purdue Northwest has a lead, but you see the game plan now, right?
For sure. And the game plan continuing to beef up for Purdue Northwest potentially here in the top lane. Doubtful has cleared his jungle and is now open to potentially going top lane here. He's just waiting for Porsche.
Oh my goodness, he hits like a truck. Prank will get the kill credit. 402 for Doubtful. How about 10 on the Dark Seal for the boy?
Yeah, 10 Dark Seal stacks before 10 minutes. Doubtful is going to have to step up into this game. He is the definition of a carry here. Porsche will be able to probably TP back, but yeah, I actually do like that Doubtful gave that kill over to Prank. Prank has been, for lack of a better term, suffering in this lane phase against this Skarner champion, just because Skarner is so strong in the meta. So being able to give him a little bit of power back to fight, a little bit of power back to sustain, certainly is going to help Prank out.
And he is just kind of, he's building damage, right? He went with that Dark Seal. Udyr feels really nice with the AP, with that Leandris. I mean, he does a sneaky amount of damage even if you build him tank, but Prank just opting fully into that. Went with the Dark Seal when he went down 0-2, had full confidence he was going to be able to get back into
Doubtful.
it. Oh, hang on a second here, Doubtful. Well, who's locked in here with who? Hang on a second here. Hextech Impact, or Hextech Ultimatum, excuse me, goes down. Here comes the call of the Forge God. Getting onto Trevor. Waited it out. Flashed over the wall, but Klexo gets the E down, winking. Not going to land the last embrace, but it will not matter because it gets Trevor into the pit with no escape. Klexo on the board with his first of the game.
Doubtful saying, I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me. And Porsche maybe looking for a little bit of lockdown himself.
There goes the Impale. He hit that one, Quacks, and it results in Udyr doing Udyr things. He doesn't have Ghost, and it might not matter here, Porsche, if he can get in range for a kill for the slow or just for the damage.
The Rock manages to find its target. Porsche gets another kill. Prank, he got some items. He got to kill himself. He even has the Dark Seal. I feel like that might be a little bit of an oversight from Prank going for that because it still is Porsche favored in this matchup. Just how much damage he is able to do. You can see has the Bombi Cinder, has the Negatron Cloak. So a lot of that magic damage that Prank is hoping to do just gets outright negated. Is definitely going to help a lot in this game as well with the threat of Doubtful being so strong. Now 5-0-3, Nashor's Tooth complete. But a lot of MR being built by the side of UST as a result.
Yeah, you can see why, right? I mean, Prank is just gonna sweat out sustained magic damage as well, right? It's not just Doubtful that you've got to worry about. And frankly, right, I mean, Doubtful, his job is to get onto a Ray. His job is to get onto maybe Robbie Bob or maybe Trevor, but they've got their R buttons that they can use as oopsies, right? So I don't think you're as worried as much about that. Right now, if I'm Doubtful, right, I have one target and one target only, and that's a Ray. And I think that's what we're watching here in the mid game. One, in these skirmishes, how quickly can you get to a Ray? And how can UST peel for him? Klexo going forward, not able to get the E. And Robbie Bob says, much obliged, sir. Thank you very much. Almost able to completely punish him. Goes forward with the flash, able to grab the kill. But here comes the Moonfall. Doubtful. He's looking for one. He wants a second one, though. Hallow's missed out. Gwen is not immune in this one, ladies and gentlemen. Double for Doubtful. 7-0-3.
And now they have 2 grubs acquired, so this is going to mean that along with the Nashor's Tooth, Doubtful is going to hit this turret like a truck. He's going to get so many plates in his inventory, and he's just going to be able to, with the prio he has in top lane, move on up toward what looks to be the second respawn of grubs. And overall, this Diana is really, really singing the songs of PNW and allowing them to just be a full-on melody that UST hate to hear.
Yeah, they where PNW hears jazz, UST just hears dissonance. They're saying, no, that's not, just because you play something with conviction doesn't mean it's jazz. And PNW says, absolutely, actually, I can play whatever the heck I want with conviction. Doubtful, I mean, what a game he's having right now. And he's grabbing himself the Seeker's Arm Guard. That Zanya's, that is the 1-2 punch, right, for Diana. It's going to be so tough to deal with this champion as this game goes on. But Quacks, look, I don't want to get over my skis here because the fact of the matter is you're going against a UST team that on experience alone, right, knows how to soak up leads and knows how to mitigate damage. But before I make this point here, production throwing up the gold graph, you see the entire gold lead is essentially because of Doubtful, right? This is still a bit one-dimensional. This is still, winking is not online just yet, right? So it is a bit of a telegraphed approach that PNW have to take as far as accelerating this mid game. And, you know, the fact of the matter is they've got grubbed, but no towers, no other neutral objectives, right?
For sure. And I think that, you know, you're talking about accelerating certain members of PNW. You have got to look at Klexo, right? He is currently 1-3. When we threw up the gold graphs, he had a slight lead over Robbie Bob, but that was also because Robbie Bob has been struggling in this game. They've been victims of the jungle, both as Klexo might be a victim again.
Ooh, able to get the double Q out, goes into the Vanguard's edge. He's about to have an Irelia moment, kids.
What?
With the Dawning Shadow over the top, gets one more onto Kenby here. Doubtful saves the day.
Doubtful from downtown manages to swing into a 2-0 for PNW, and no one is there to try and stop this turret. Actually, as I say that, Trevor is roaming up, maybe looking for a kill, but Klexo wisely gets out and the turret gets finished off anyway. First turret going over to PNW. Absolute masterclass from the jungle mid of PNW, and Purdue Northwest, they are going to get this Herald.
This is phenomenal. This is what you wanted to see, right? This is acceleration, right? This is grab a kill, get an objective off the back of it. First neutral objective of the game, going over to Doubtful here. Now I'm feeling a lot more comfortable about PNW's situation, not just because the lead has essentially doubled since the last time we addressed it, going from 3K to 6K, but because of what they were able to grab off it, right? They secured that mid grub, and they knocked down that mid tier 1.
And it's so impactful to be able to see that they also have the top lane turret, right? Because you can see Prank, he's going over toward top lane, but he has the option to join up toward these fights now without really losing anything. But doesn't look like that's what he's going to do. Instead, PNW are going to start this as 3 members strong. You see Klexo roaming down, no contest whatsoever. They do not want to mess with Doubtful, who you were saying that PNW were sitting comfortably. Doubtful is especially sitting comfortably now with Zhonya's Hourglass, giving him so much more survivability in these fights, the ability to dive onto the backline, to assassinate Array, and potentially come out unscathed.
Yeah, he is extremely comfortable. Like 700 thread count, California King, down sheets, massive comforter, waterbed, all of those things at the same time. He is mondo chilling right now, and everyone on the map knows it. Lurking here, potentially looking for a dive. Call me if you've seen this one before, Quacks. Herald going in here. Poner spawning to call the forge, got immediately onto Array here. Kenby gets taken out of the fight, Doubtful in. Fears neither man nor god nor tower. Rips through UST. Herald still alive. Tower down. Double for winking, because why the hell not?
And Doubtful, you know, he chunked out Kenby. It almost looked like Kenby was going to get out with 1 HP because he immediately pivoted onto Array. He was like, oh yeah, I forgot about you for a little bit. Let me go kill you real quick. Let me go kill your support while I'm at it, and your tower, and another one at that.
They're taking everything off the box, taking every box here, Quacks. It's been one heck of a game from Purdue Northwest. And we were talking about it in draft. Hang on a second here. Porsche in a little bit of trouble here. Klexo had the Irelia moment. There you go. Miss you 3,000. Goodbye, Porsche.
I love that play from Klexo. He actually managed to stun Porsche and canceled his E, so Porsche had no escape, no ghost was going to save him there, and Klexo manages to pick his 3rd one up of the game, went from 1-3 to 3-3 now, so we were saying that we were worried about this Aurelia being able to become relevant as the game went on. I think it's safe to say that Klexo has alleviated those fears in these past few minutes.
I would agree with you. Yes. Yeah, feeling really, really good about his performance, and I mean, just the whole team, right? I mean, identifying a win condition and executing on it, especially given how rough the early game went, right? It's been from kind of 10 minutes onward, it's been all PNW all day long. But let's not forget, Doubtful had to, as the kids would say, he had to grind for this view. He had to work his way back from a tough early spot, right? Down 3-0, every other lane was falling apart around him. Trevor was making plays left, right, and center, but Doubtful stuck to his guns, punished a bit of an overextend from Kenby, right?
Yep.
And then got himself rolling on those Darksteel stacks, and they have not looked back since.
For sure, and it looks like Doubtful is looking for more Darksteel stacks as they have found Robbie Bob.
Oh boy, he throws up a tower. Sharima calls, you answer, and the tower does just that. They see that, and they say, you know what? Not worth it here. We've got a heck of a lead. Let's make sure we see it out comfortably here. Well, I say that. See how this wave is looking. It is a cannon wave. It's eventually going to find its way onto that Azir turret. Doubtful. I mean, he's got the gravity of a black hole right now. Look at the respect they have to pay him.
Yeah, I mean, you have a Azir turret up and you're running away from it. That certainly should tell you just how strong Doubtful is, and they don't want to keep giving him the Darksteel stacks. Although I will say, I have gotten 10 Darksteel stacks before and then built it into a Mage Ice, and every time I do that, I swear to God, the Mage Ice stacks, they just disappear. They go into the wind and never come back because, yeah, it's a curse. I swear to God, the book is a curse.
It's funny how that happens sometimes. Yeah, we've all been there, but doubtful. Still 14 of 16 KP. For those of you keeping score at home, that's an 87.5 kill participation. Quick maps. Trevor gets blitzed. The Call of the Forge God might be the last tick here. Dawning Shadow over the top. The Brittle Proc will not be popped. Penguin Dab emote, and Kenby pays the iron price on the other side of things.
Yup, and 19 minutes into this game, PNW, their minds have to be on the Baron. They have to be thinking about the big purple worm spawning in just around 30 seconds here. A big Gen G power play most likely awaits them, and they're just going to knock down this turret further the line of scrimmage in the mid lane.
Ooh, the last embrace lands. Porsche might not be long for this world. Crescent Strike in with the Lunar Rush. Not going to be enough damage, but again, that's not what they came for. They came here to light up that western quadrant of the jungle with vision. That's exactly what they're doing. They've got their sights set on the Baron. I do think they have the damage to take it down, but it's going to be really, really close. But if nothing else, Quacks, obviously, the ability for them to turn, given the way they've set up this vision, is absolutely lethal. I think the silver lining for UST is you've got a dragon spawning in 30 seconds as well.
For sure. I mean, this could be UST's chance to bring the game back into their favor. We saw it in game one, where, you know, they had a little bit of a slump in the early game, and they managed to bring it back. And the experience of UST, I have to think that these players have been here before, but PNW, they just are managing to get advantages at every turn. So we'll have to wait and see, but I like that Trevor is establishing vision around here. They are going to be able to detect if PNW pivot toward this Baron, and they're going to be able to react accordingly.
Yeah, let's see here. Let's see if we get that objective trade. Looks like we might. Well, I say that. Prank's got enough damage here. I mean, you saw what he was doing and the way he was just kind of bodying, mogging on Robbie Bomb in that bot lane. He deleted half his health by just standing near him. That's the aura that Frank has. Can be in a little bit of trouble here. That healing from the snip is not going to save you, my friend. Needlework R1 goes out. Doubtful out of nowhere goes in and deletes the squishy 80 carry. Array blew everything and lost his life just the same. The Azir Tower falls just as quickly. On to Baron they go.
And they are going to be going up toward the Baron, like you said, 4x4. They're saying Calamari is on the menu, a Baron buff is on the menu, and UST 2 members down, no jungler. There's no way they can trade for this dragon in time. They get absolutely nothing here in game number 2.
There's that Gen G Baron buff going over to Purdue Northwest. They took that one just as easy as you like, and that would have been the other thing, right? If you're not confident that you want to, maybe we do want to play for this turn, they still got a Shurima Shuffle, they've got point and click CC with Porsche's Impale, right? Hextech Ultimatum, the pick tools are there. There's a massive wallet diff, let's be clear, but the composition for UST still has a potential to, if PNW troll their positioning a little bit, have a little bit of happy gaming, they can get punished for it. But PNW playing this game out very, very cleanly now. And let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, again, this is not to get over our skis here, but we're not in the double elim phase of the bracket just yet. This is still top 16. We're in best of 5 territory for the first time in the tournament, but only if you make top 8 do you get the benefit of the extra life. So Purdue Northwest, well on their way to tying this series up and making it a best of 3 from here on out. The loser of this series is going home for good. They'll have to wait until next semester to re-establish their place in CLOL. Dragon does go over, plus an objective bounty over to UST. They bring the gold lead down to 11,000. Not ideal. I'm not going to lie. When I started that sentence and I looked up, I thought the numbers were going to be closer together.
I mean, yeah, 11,000 gold lead here coming out for PNW. Big 10-0 Diana. Doubtful having such a good game on this pick. Such good synergy with Klexo as well. And the synergy will continue as we got a 4-1 split between top lane and mid lane. But the wave clear is actually really solid here from UST, so they have a chance to maybe stall this out. But they have to play it smartly. They have to play it carefully and just try not to overforce and essentially let PNW come to them. They have to be the ones to react at this point in time.
Yeah, and even Array, right? He's able to stand with a little bit of, impunity here because there isn't the threat of a Nautilus hook, right? Even if the Call of the Forge God comes down, that's very telegraphed. There isn't just this, hard engage with the composition of PNW, but they're going for the win here. Here comes the Call of the Forge God, gets 2 with the R2. Trevor taking the long-distance journey over onto Winking, trying to get onto him, but he gets bailed out by by Doubtful, able to get over onto him. Hextech ultimatum does absolutely nothing. Robbie Bob gets deleted by Pranks Udyr, gets still mogged on. Phantom tax, the whole freaking works. Double for Doubtful. The Searing Breath goes out, the Volcanic Rupture, etc. Kenvi leaves the game. Boy, does he. A rough one for him. His opposite number put on a clinic on the Diana. A 12-0 game for Doubtful. This is the mid-jungle that was promised from PNW Quacks.
Yep, 24-minute game basically on the dot, and Doubtful and Klexo showing up big in that game. All in all, the entire series, the entire squad of PNW really showing up big in that game. This felt like a completely new squad from what we saw in game number 1. Maybe the rust has been shaken off, the training weights are off, they are ready to play. And yeah, as a result, we are going to get a hell of a series here, UNI 4x4, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
I'm stoked. I'm absolutely stoked. Purdue Northwest, they wasn't just, they didn't squeak out this game too. They tied up the series in emphatic fashion. And now I think this completely changes the timbre of the series and the timbre of the draft as well. And we'll get into that and everything more as game 3 is right around the corner after this break. Don't go anywhere.